sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. We're on. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday. It is January the 22nd, and it is WMNF 88.5. And if it's Wednesday, you know it's Hump Day. And if it's Hump Day, you know this is The Conversation. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. My name is Mario Nunez. And as always, I'm seated alongside my broadcast partner,
Joe King Carter,
who we will reveal at this moment in time. As the intro music was playing, Joe was just walking into the studio because he wanted to go get a glass of water. Joey, man, you made it back right in time.
Hey, that was, my timing is good,
Slick.
believe it or not.
Slick, you got right in there.
There we go. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir, of course. So, Joe, it's Wednesday. This is the third show of our new year, and man, how's the weather? How's the weather in
It's
your
a
neighborhood?
little cool, isn't it?
Yeah, for Floridians, it's a lot.
It's a
cool.
little cool. Yeah.
I mean, they set records. The 10 inches of snow in New Orleans. I think somewhere up in the Panhandle, 4 to 6 inches, like Pensacola.
Yes,
that area.
yes. I have relatives up in the northern part of the state, and they were out having snowball fights.
And people who have been here for any length of time will remember that January 19th, 1977, the day it snowed here in Tampa.
Yes.
And it snowed all night overnight. So much so that it stuck around the next day, and you could build a snowman, and you could.
I made an 18-inch snowman on the hood of my fiance's car.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
That was a great memory.
It was fun.
Great memory, and every year it's like the 72 Dolphins. Every year whenever the NFL starts its season and a team loses finally, and after being 9-0, and then they lose a game, the champagne is uncorked, and the surviving members of the 72 Dolphins.
Yes.
They rejoice because their undefeated season is still intact. Their undefeated record.
Yes.
In this case, every year we say, this might be the year, this might be the year. Well, it sure is up in the Panhandle. Because they're getting all that snow.
Yeah. Well, I would prefer being cool than too hot. So for me, it works well.
I agree. There's
Yeah.
only one caveat. And can you guess when that might be? At what point do you say to yourself, well, man, this is enough? Go ahead, Joey. Take a whack at it.
When you sit on the toilet seat.
No, but you're close. You're in the ballpark. You're in the room where it happens. Let me just say that. How about when you get out of the shower, man?
Yeah, I know.
Unless that room is, unless you've preheated the room.
Yeah.
That's a little bit much.
Yeah, it's our lifestyle is not set up for most of us to turn our houses into ovens.
And I don't know.
We don't have a lot of heat.
And I don't know, and we're going to dovetail in just a minute into our topic for today. I don't know how people survived winters in the 1800s and the 1700s. I don't know how they did that. And furthermore, today, like just yesterday, last night, it rained all night. It was cold. The weather was terribly inclement. People are living outside. People are sleeping rough, as they say. So,
yes.
That's got to be a tremendous,
terrible.
A tremendous heavy weight to bear. So we got Gasparilla coming up this week.
That's right.
The big celebration. The Pirates were at City Hall yesterday.
Yes.
I guess they did the whole thing with surrendering the key once again.
That's right. The heathen Gaspar walked upon the land. Yeah.
Heathen? Was he a heathen?
Oh, he's a pirate, isn't he?
So pirates, just by nature, by virtue of the fact that they're pirates, they're heathens?
Well, historically, they were awful human beings.
It's okay for you to say they were, Joe, because I tend to agree.
I don't have a lot of love for Gaspar personally.
Although pirates were pretty resourceful and kind of progressive guys in that, people will tell you that those were the first environments in which true democratic socialism prevailed. Because if they didn't like the captain or the captain wasn't paying attention to, details, see you later, pal.
Tampa is the only city in America where a pirate will invade the city annually. Yeah, we have that distinction.
And prevail.
Yes.
There's so looting, pillaging, and plundering. Is that what we want to be known as?
And a little raping, yeah.
Damn, Joe,
it's not
you
good.
went there.
Not
I left
good.
it out, but you went there.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
All right, Joey, let's get away.
And we have a football team called the Buccaneers. How about that?
I know. Well, we embrace it, right? We embrace it. Now it's all part of our culture, and it's part of our identity as much as it's a chagrin thing.
Arr.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm always looking at the dark side, my friend.
But today,
by the way, I want you to know that.
Yes.
Have you ever accidentally given a sig heil in your life?
No, and if you watched last night, Stephen Colbert, which I try to catch his monologue every night, even though it's on late.
Yeah.
He mentioned this last night, and if you can catch his monologue, I suggest you do. He says there's no way you don't know what you're doing when you do the Sig Heil.
I've never accidentally done it.
Because he says, there are certain rules by which when you hold your hand in this position, this is radio, you're petting the dog. So your hand is down low.
Yes.
When you hold your hand at this position, you're patting your nephew on the head and telling him you're doing a nice job, son. And then when you hold your hand perpendicular above your body, that's hailing a cab, right?
Right.
But that zone...
Or a waiter.
But that zone in between petting your nephew on the head and that zone there is the danger zone.
I hear you.
And for those of us that know what that means, you stay away from that.
We're not mentioning any particular individuals.
No.
We're just saying that we think that it's not something you would do accidentally. And by the way, in the country of Germany, it's illegal. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's illegal because...
the Germans made a mess
of their history. They want to be corrective of that part of their history. They
made a mess of things in World War II, absolutely. But,
since
then it seems to me like they have been on this mission to resurrect
of course
the identity and really just kind of do better.
A great place and great people, wonderful people. Yes, absolutely.
And technologically superior to a lot of other cultures because I'll say this and then we're going to get to our guest who's sitting there eagerly waiting to chime in.
Yeah.
I was there on a layover in Frankfurt and I remember this event distinctly. We were coming back from dinner, walking uphill to the hotel. We were in Dortz and it was it was a lovely evening, as it were, and we were coming back, and I was about to cross the street, and I was walking maybe about 15 paces in front of the rest of the group, because I was like first time in Frankfurt. I was like a little kid. All of a sudden, one of my colleagues says, "Hey, Mario, look out!" And I turned around, and there was a trolley advancing down the middle of the street.
Right.
And it was operating at such a level of quiet and calm that it was like shoo, shoo.
Right.
And I didn't see it coming. If they don't tell me something, I might have got clipped.
Right.
But anyway, I'm just saying, the first time I went to take a shower in my hotel room, I thought I needed a PhD to operate the plumbing there because there were so many levers and switches. Man, I'm thinking, I just need on and off and cold and hot. The Germans.
Yep.
The Germans, as they say.
Yes.
Hey, Joe,
lovely,
who's sitting there next to you?
Well, we have today Dr. Mark T. Jones Sr. with us, and we're going to be talking with him about what he's doing here in Tampa. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Thank you for being with us, Mark. Mark, you're a member of, or did you start the organization Manifestations Worldwide, Inc., and what do they do?
Yeah, well, we started Manifestations Worldwide, Inc. Nearly 24 years ago. There were 20 people in a garage not far from here. Mm-hmm. And that's where we started, a little garage. And we've, over the years, grown from just from a church to an organization that does many things that I think we'll talk about today. But 24 years ago, just 20 people with a vision to bring transformation to lives.
In keeping with sort of our mission statements, and every month here at WMNF, our management admin comes up with kind of topics that we need to stay close to. If we can, and we certainly try to as programmers. And this month, it's homelessness and hunger, right? So I saw Mark on television. I guess it was Channel 13. I think it was the morning show. I think it was Channel 13. I won't hold myself to that. But he was discussing the tiny home village that was just opening. I also saw that they were ribbon cutting. Our city dignitaries were there. And I just thought it was such an admirable little village of tiny homes that was to help veterans, right? To help accommodate veterans that were in need of homing and housing.
Yeah, so our overall vision is, of course, as a church, to provide spiritual training and development. But beyond that, we also want to make sure that we're impacting the educational environment of our community. And also, we want to create jobs. Our vision is to create 200 jobs in Tampa. Currently, we employ nearly 70 people. And then, of course, affordable housing. As I said, if every church just did something, I believe we could wipe out the housing crisis that we have here in Tampa. So
if every church made it a priority.
Right. And we didn't wait, we didn't wait until we had all the answers or all the money. As a matter of fact, we didn't have any other money when we started. We just had a very clear vision to focus on this particular population that's in need, which is our veterans. So we started this process of building Manifest Veterans Village.
Wow. You are so needed now, my friend. So before we get any deeper into manifestations, let's talk a little bit about you. Where did you grow up and what part of the world?
I grew up in a place I don't want to be right now. It's really cold. Gary, Indiana.
Oh.
Yeah, born and raised in Gary.
Home of the Jackson 5. Woo!
You know, interestingly enough, our family home was at 25th and Garfield, and as you know, the Jacksons are from 25th and Jackson. And my family name is Jackson.
Wow.
So I had 6 uncles named Jackson. And then my grandmother had 3 daughters, so they were commonly mistaken for the Jacksons. And we used to get calls at our house thinking that they were the Jacksons, and my uncles played right into it.
Of course, that's what I was going to say. How many free meals did you garnish off of that little experience?
My mother and Tito Jackson were in the same class growing up, so it's a very interesting story.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Did we just lose Tito recently? I think
Yes,
Tito
he
just
just
passed.
died
Rest in peace,
recently.
Tito.
Yes. Yeah.
But wow, that must have been a lot of fun. And the only thing we knew about Gary, Indiana from this part of the world, at least myself speaking for myself, was of course the home of the Jackson 5. And at that point in time, it's where the Senior League World Series was played every year. And for those of us that grew up playing youth baseball, that was something to aspire to. But you had to look on the map to find out where Gary was.
Yeah, U.S. Steel.
And, you know, Chi-Town's right there. So, you know, you just, 40 minutes away from the south side of Chicago. So.
Exactly.
So you grew up there, large family?
We did. We had a pretty large family. As I mentioned, I had 6 uncles and 3 aunts and a whole lot of cousins.
A lot of cousins.
Still have family members there.
Siblings? You have siblings?
I have adopted brothers. My cousins were adopted as my brothers when I was 7. And so, but I'm the only biological child of my mother and my father.
Oh, interesting. And so you grow up there as a teenager, go to school there, and what happens after that?
We moved to Florida, to Fort Pierce in 1984. And in Fort Pierce is where I went to high school. I moved to Tampa in 1988, came here to go to college, United Electronic Institute. I originally was on the path to become an electronic technician. And
that sounds like an admirable profession.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never be out of work.
No, I was poor. And so the recruiters came to my living room in Fort Pierce and told me I could make a whopping $70,000 a year. And I said, whatever it does.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Whatever you have to do to get that. And that was, a mistake. It wasn't what I was, really made for, designed for. I hated it. I got a job in that field. It's the only job I ever got fired from. Right here in Tampa.
Probably because you hated it, Mark.
That's right. It was a company, Interconics, right on Himes. Remember Interconics, right
Yes,
on Himes?
I've seen it, yeah.
That's the only job I ever got fired from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So now you're living in Tampa and you're working a job you don't like. You don't have passion for. What else happens next?
Well, ironically, even from 14, I was working for Denny's. I started at Denny's as a dishwasher and worked all the job codes.
Grand Slam breakfast.
Exactly. That's it. And I worked all the job codes. And when I moved to Tampa, I was also working as an assistant manager at a Denny's that used to be on Bush Boulevard. So from 19 till now, I've been in management all of my life. So I always had Denny's and do you remember TS Tex-Mex?
Yes.
I was the general manager of TS Tex-Mex for years. And so I spent a lot of years in business management.
And leadership roles, too, because, in management, you've got staff that you're accountable to. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
leadership.
Absolutely. So, yeah, 36 years or so in business management. As I mentioned, the electronic technician field sort of faded away. I went through the School of the Bible, my original church, when I joined here back in the 80s. Or in the early 90s, I went through the School of the Bible. That's where I got my formal spiritual education through our COF School of the Bible. Ended up getting the honorary doctorate of divinity for my life's work from St. Thomas Christian College. And that's how I sort of got started here in ministry.
Oh, okay.
Where was that located? For people that might not remember, might not know. The school itself.
The right here in Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah, the original school is right here in Tampa under the leadership of Bishop James Howell. And then from there, St. Thomas Christian College in Jacksonville as well for the honorary
And that
doctorate.
resonated with you. You knew at that point something like the spark came on, and you knew where you were going at that point.
Yeah, I didn't want to do this. I mean, I've been a businessman all my life. I love management. I love training people. I love developing quality of life. I love serving the customers, serving the staff. So I love that feel. But, God said to me very clearly, I have other plans for your life. That's not my plan for your life. As a matter of fact, I was about to become the district leader with TIAS when that was sort of interrupted by the call of God on my life. So I gave it up. He spoke to me on a Saturday. I went to work Monday and gave him 1 month's notice. And rest is history.
Can we drill down a little bit on that, Mark? Can we talk a little bit about the profound moment that it was? I mean, that almost sounds like Big Bang universe, beginning of the universe kind of a moment. I mean, for you to tack away from something you were so comfortable with and you knew so well, to then go in there 48 hours later and say, listen, something else has come up.
Yeah, as I said, it was a love. I love managing those kind of casual dining type establishment. Love every aspect of it. Never had a boring day. Never had 2 days alike. And I loved it. And it was in April of 2003. I had a dream and a vision on a Saturday. And God spoke to me very clearly and said, that's not my path for your life. They were grooming me to become the district leader, which I was excited about. And he spoke to me very clearly, succinctly, said, that's not my plan for your life. He said, don't waste their time. So he spoke to me on a Saturday. I went to work Monday because I was always off Sundays for church. I went to work Monday and I told my boss, I said, I'm leaving. This is it. And I said, I'll work another month, make sure my replacement is in place. And that was May of 2003. And so from May 2003, 2003 until now, I've been in full-time ministry.
Full-time
ministry.
So how does that transition work? Now you're not punching that clock. How does that work?
Still using your leadership skills and your organizational skills.
But what happens in the next week, 2 weeks, month, 2 months? What happened in your life at that
retrained?
time?
Well, you trust. Thank God I didn't leave without a plan. I told my wife and I had been working, putting savings away, because, you go from making a lot of money as a GM, and then now you got to take a significant pay cut to be a minister and to follow what I believe to be God's plan. So it was just a lot of sacrifice involved. But we never missed a beat. The thing I learned about the Lord is that if he, wherever he guides, he provides. And he's done that. And we've spent, our organization has been nearly 24 years debt-free. We don't owe anyone anything. We've never had lack in 24 years.
That's wonderful.
My wife and I have been debt-free for over 30 years. We have no lack. We're just able to focus on our mission and loving our family, building.
That's not always the case, Mark. That's not always the case. It takes discipline and it takes like you said, a clear-minded path to know where you're going and how to be able to manage that.
Well, I'm still a manager at heart. So
that's what I was going to say. I think your sock drawer is well organized, my man. I think you know what I mean. Your sock drawer is well organized.
So was that the almost immediate moment you founded your organization?
Well, I had founded the organization 2 years prior to that, but I was still working my job.
And what is the name of that organization?
Manifestations Worldwide, Inc.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so now you're ministering, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and how structurally, what was the next thing to happen? Were you already involved in a church where you did this work? Physically, a physical building?
Well, you mean when we started our organization?
Yeah.
Well, no, we started the organization
with nothing.
In a garage with 20 people.
There you go.
So we started with $3,500 of my own personal money. That's how we got started. And the partners began to come on and began to add to develop the work. And then subsequent to that, we started other entities that brought in revenue to fund the organization and the mission. We're also a missionary organization, so we take care of
orphans. Travel as well?
Yeah, all over the world. Currently, we have a very large organization in India, 3 orphanages, 70-plus kids. We built 27 churches in Hindu villages and trained leaders, trained pastors. So a lot of work done, but it started very simply with a yes and walking really blindly into what I believe to be God's will, and it has become what it is today.
Are there any others in your organization that you want to mention, thank, otherwise give a shout out to that are, right there with you, shoulder to shoulder?
Well, this gentleman with me today, Tavis Myrick, started out as an 18-year-old in our organization. He's traveled the world with me. He's been phenomenal. He leads our educational department, very professional, very organized. He does an amazing job. He manages our college, Manifest Theological Institute. He manages our private school, which is Manifestation School of Innovation and Learning. Also manages our group home program, and we have several programs, daycare programs in schools, so the kids that have babies don't drop out. So he manages all of that, but he's been with us, now for a really long time. He's almost 40 now, and he's been with us since
Dog,
he was 18.
Tavis, he just threw you right under the bus. I just, as you're saying all of this, I'm kind of just clicking these things off. I'm thinking, it takes youthful energy to be able to do that, so it doesn't surprise me he's still in his 30s, because I don't think I had enough energy to do nothing of what you said there just a minute ago. It's like, that's an impressive portfolio.
But you must also have a significant number of people supporting that.
Has to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
As I mentioned, we have nearly 70 employees, and that's just the employment side. We probably have, our leadership team is probably over 120 people. We have elders and deacons and pastors and you name it. I mean, we have a lot of people.
The structure that most people would associate with churches is in play in your organization as well.
Absolutely.
And so that those circles, concentric circles that overlap, that Venn diagram, that's the whole full thing that makes your organization strong.
It goes back to the management
to
experience.
the young fella over there that doesn't sleep apparently. Congratulations, Davis.
Well, it goes back to the establishing, leadership and establishing paradigm. I don't build anything to run it myself. I'm a visionary, so my job is
You're always peeping around that next corner.
And start seeing what's coming next, moving in that direction. But whenever we build something, we build it in mind. Someone else is going to run it to keep me free to do what I do.
Right.
Hey, Joe, can we take a second and just remind everybody who we are and what we're doing?
Yes.
Hey, you're listening to WMNF 88.5, and my name is Mario Nunez. Of course, I'm seated with Joe King Carter, and today we're speaking to Dr. Mark T. Jones Sr., and he's letting us know everything about Manifestations Worldwide, Inc., that he sits on the board of. I guess, did I say that right, Mark? You sit on the board there?
I'm the president of the board. I'm a founder.
There he is. Not too much responsibility that goes along with that. I'm just going to say it up front.
Right.
But if you'd like to join in today on the conversation and you'd like to either express some commentary, have a question, maybe we might be able to help you if you happen to know someone who is in need, and we're going to get into the tiny home village that is really the crux of our conversation today. Join us, 813-239-9663. You can text us, 813-433-0885. Emails are always, always welcome. DJ@WMNF.org.
Yes. So Manifestations has this, as I'm imagining this, as this large umbrella under which all of these things happen. Before we get to what you're doing here in Tampa specifically with the tiny homes, let's talk a little bit about this orphanage. This intrigues me. What is it like to create an orphanage, and how does that structure
with
work?
so much distance in between here and India, how does that work?
Well, it started out as a friendship, just a friendship with a person that I put in charge there, Prabhakara. It started out as a friendship, and by communicating, we realized we had some common interests. He was working for another denominational organization when I met him. But when I told him my vision for India, which includes building the campus there, he quit. He quit his job. He came to work for us. And so he's been working now nearly 15 years helping to build our organization there. But it's a joy. It's a joy. We travel there and we see the kids. And matter of fact, his first grandson is named after me. That's how much honor.
Come on now.
Wow.
And so we have a Jones in India.
We're going to ring a bell on
That's
that.
good.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one.
But
Yeah.
it's been a labor of love,
Sure.
and they've worked tirelessly to advance our causes there. Our common goal is, our current goal is to raise about $300,000 to build a campus there. So we want to build a larger orphanage to be able to bring all three orphanages under one umbrella. We want to build a place for training leaders, which is my passion, and then also residence for our staff and for visitors that we send there to check on the work.
Incredibly rewarding work, Mark.
And the need must be significant there for an orphanage because of something that's happening in the community other than children or young people that are without?
Well, remember, in India, there's no middle class.
Yeah.
You are rich or you are poor, and there's nowhere in between. And
Right.
so these kids would end up in mines. they would end up in sex trafficking. They would end up in some very precarious situations if not for our organization. So that's the joy of knowing that we,
You're
now
saving souls.
we have 15 years. We have kids that are now grew up in our orphanage and are now going to college and going on to independence. And our church funded that college experience as well.
Bravo.
I'm guessing also that this kind of loyalty that your organization kind of creates, right? The sense of, do they come back? Do they want to stay with you? Do they want to come back and continue to help you grow your organization because they feel a debt of service, right? That you've given them so much, they want to come back and give back to you?
Directly to the other kids that come into the orphanage behind them.
There you go.
So absolutely. It's been a very, very circular type of a process. Absolutely.
Wow. That's wonderful.
I like the use of it's a joy. It's a joy. That's
because if you find something that is a joy, as you say, Joe, then there can't be work. It can't possibly be work because the two don't coexist in the same space, right?
Yes.
If it's joyful,
and
it's not laborious.
We need community involvement at the level of doing good in our community.
Thank you.
That's what WMNF is about, of course. Everybody who's here is either volunteering or they're paid staff, and the paid staff are volunteers because they're asked to do things that definitely don't come under their income. And so, I have worked with communities. And it is a joy. That's the word. It's a joy. It feeds something in the soul that nothing else feeds.
Yeah, I call it a love triangle. The sweetest spot to live is when what we do benefits others, is fulfilling to us, and glorifying to God. And if it can meet all of those three things, you'll never feel like you work a day in life. I don't have depression, worry, stress. I mean, I love what I do. I don't need an alarm clock to wake up and do it. I love it.
You're running towards the day. You're running towards the next day.
I'm running toward the day and always forward movement. Absolutely.
And let's be honest, it's not like you have a shortage of things to do.
Right.
And we're in this life of ours that we know is finite, right? We're not going to be here forever, ever. So if we get between 75 and 90 years, and you can, if you take care of yourself a little bit, you can get a lot of good work done in those times. In that time period.
Yeah.
Tell us about the homes. We need to start digging in on some of the stuff how I came to know of you.
Certainly.
Yes.
Well, as I mentioned, one aspect of our vision for Manifestation City, we call it, is to provide affordable housing, many different levels of affordable housing. So we this particular venture, we had a little piece of land, right, 3 doors down from our church. And we had a little house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that we were trying to serve the needs of our community through that particular property, as with our other properties. And but it was built in 1920, and it was being held together by duct tape and prayer. So we knew that our days were numbered. And I felt inspired to sit down and draw what are the possibilities. And so we got on this path of doing some type of a tiny home type of a concept. And so we start walking down this path of building these homes with demolition of the pre-existing home, rezoning. We had to go through the whole rezoning process,
right?
Because residential to plan.
And tell and if you would, real quick, I'm sorry, Mark, where this is located in
3110 East Lake Avenue. Right down the street from our church, which is at 3102 East Lake Avenue.
Right.
So it's just a 50-foot wide by 300 feet deep property.
D5 Gwendolyn Henderson is your city council representative? Okay.
Yes.
Just so everybody knows, the players involved, and I'm sure she was helpful too.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do what she could.
Absolutely.
So take it from there. You've got it rezoned now.
Yeah, we rezoned it, and it took. This is the most. It was the most difficult thing to do in 20 plus years of ministry, because we had to get something permitted that had never been done before. And you know how that could be.
Breaking new ground.
If we were just building a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, it would have been zoned like that because there was something to measure by, a rubric of sort.
Right.
But because this is a tiny home village in the middle of the hood,
right.
On a little strip of
Never
land.
done nothing like this before.
Never done it before. So it took over 2 years to get a permit. And we just kept chopping down one thing at a time until we got the permit. We didn't know where the money would come from. Eventually, we were connected to the right lender to get some of the construction elements. By the time we got the permit from when we got the construction loan, the costs skyrocketed. So now we had to, look to our partners at the church to sort of subsidize that
difference.
the difference, which
Sure.
they did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Praise
that
be.
was the process, and it was just I sat at the desk and drew it, and our partners came along, and with CDC and Beck and some other entities involved in Prodigy, and helped bring it to life. So that's how it all came to pass.
If you had grown up here, like some of us have, and of course Joe was down south in Bradenton, I could maybe even see that you might have drawn your inspiration from Safety Village. But since you didn't grow
Yeah,
up here,
Safety
you don't know
Village.
what Safety
Yeah.
Village is, which was a little place that was created in someone's imagination. Artisans got together, the city of Tampa, and they recreated some of the more prominent and popular buildings in Tampa. They put it right adjacent to Lowry Park. And at first it was designed to teach kids how to navigate crossings. And, because there were even go-karts involved in this. I guess they did away with the go-karts rather quickly after probably a couple of kids got hit with go-karts. But the reality is they called it Safety Village. And again, the village is a key word here. And it was a miniature little village.
I remember
so
it.
for little kids to walk around.
Child size.
Super impressive. I mean, there was Curtis Sixon Hall, and there was City Hall, and there's the fire department, there's the police department. So when you think conceptually of what you've done, it's kind of like that.
So
intimate.
But let's stop off at the part about the zoning, because in my life I've dealt with in historic preservation with zoning issues and that sort of thing, and permitting, which is really something else. A lot of places do not want small houses. I found out that there is a push against that. The tiny house movement through America has been very strong for lots of reasons. And there are people who want to create little retirement areas where they can all be with their friends.
Little
in
conclaves.
houses. Right. And it turns out that a lot of places don't want tiny houses for a whole lot of reasons. What kind of pushback did you experience with that?
A lot. I mean, we had entities that didn't want it there, but there was no good reason for it to not be there. And not only that, these were done well. We could have done this project much cheaper, but it would look cheap. Right. These were done well. They were furnished. They are furnished.
They are furnished, right?
They look amazing. They look amazing.
And what is the size of a house?
240 square feet.
Okay.
60 by 40.
Yeah, and so we did experience a little bit of that, and like I said, the biggest challenge was just getting a permit approved, and finally got the permit approved, and things moved from there. And interestingly enough, once it started shaping up, we had a lot of curious neighbors.
A lot of interest, right?
A lot of interest.
A lot of people coming, hey,
asking.
that looks kind of
Exactly.
nice. And the video that was, again, that brought me to you, it showed a lot of the equipment inside the homes. Everything is interchangeable. Everything tucks away and it folds up. And so you make maximum use out of the 240 square feet, which, really and truthfully, this is a phenomenon in our country that we have been living with for a while. But if you do any traveling, which both of you have done extensively, you realize that the American footprint in our homes is obscene.
Right.
Because you go anywhere else and people are already living in 240 square feet. You think Japan, you think in places in South America. It's not unusual except for us.
Yeah, even in Europe, you mentioned Germany earlier, and we've traveled to Germany. We had a leadership training school there we did for years, and even there, some of the spaces are just really tiny. But
how much do you need? Really and
very
truthfully, Mark.
efficient.
Right.
If you've got a kitchen area, you've got a bathroom.
We had people at the grand opening that was saying, I would live here.
Right.
I mean, because they just saw that it's very accommodating, very accommodating.
So, going back to this pushback, was some of this, I'm curious about this because I'd like to open up that conversation a little bit about why this can't happen more throughout our world. This pushback, did it have to do, there were these zoning issues and design issues, but also the community, was it concerned for the kind of people they felt would be there?
People fear change.
Right.
Simple as that. They fear change even if they don't understand it. And they don't know that we have a vetting process and that this is through Tampa Housing Authority and there's a screening process, 2-layer screening process. So people, when they fear change, they assume fear makes you illogical, irrational, preemptive. It creates worlds that don't exist. And so they created a world that don't exist. They were voicing concern about the element we would be bringing in, and they forgot that we were right sandwiched between 2 housing projects. So,
what gives?
Right.
What gives? What are you afraid of?
So
Look around.
So let's talk about the element. Who is that element? Who are the people that are now living in these houses?
No one's living there now. We just received our our official certificate of occupancy last night.
Oh, congratulations! That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes.
So
Timing is everything for us,
Right.
on the conversation.
So we've been interviewing individuals for residency, but this is veterans. It's anyone who served in military forces.
Where can they find you? Is there a website, or is there some place they need to call?
Yeah, well, they can find us. The person in charge of the tenancy program is Garth Gordon, who is our chief financial officer, and he can be reached at 813-241-6919, extension 14, and he's the person that connects them to Tampa Housing Authority. So there are two ways to do this. We have self-pay. If they want to come in and interview for that, they can do that. If they qualify through the Housing Authority program, these are HUD-VASH approved, which means that Tampa Housing Authority will pay us directly. I know that the portion of their income goes to the Housing Authority, but the rent and the utilities are included through the voucher system that's already approved for the veterans.
Wow, excellent. And so the only real requirement is that they are a veteran?
That's it.
All right.
And we know we have a lot of veterans in our area.
We do.
And we have a lot of
Need for
this is a
a
veteran
lot of
housing
issues
program.
facing
housing.
veterans.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That unfortunately are not necessarily being cared for or given to them by the governments and agencies that should be helping them.
And if you're, it can't be lost on us, Joey, that if you're sleeping rough, if you don't have necessarily the accommodations, you're going from couch to couch, or you're
Right.
just having trouble finding that one place that you can center yourself in to your home.
Right.
This is an amazing opportunity.
Yes.
And 240 square feet, safe, away from the elements. It's new. It's got that new car smell or the new apartment smell. It's got to be really, really, really
well, also the
uplifting.
issues, and this is not my field, but the issues that are facing veterans out in the world, the reason veteran suicide is so high.
Mental health.
Mental health issues. All of this is something that what you are doing inspirationally is a salve to their wounds, is the way I would say that.
Certainly, and we want to make them a part of our community. Our church, as I said, we're not a Sunday church. We're open 7 days a week. We feed hundreds of people there in the community. We have free barbershop, free women's hair salon. We have clothing closet. We pay utility bills for those who may run into some challenges there. So we want to make these veterans a part of our community. We've even put together programming to help address their physical and emotional and financial literacy needs as well.
Excellent.
Is there a website, Mark?
Yeah, the website is tinyhomesforvets.org. tinyhomesforvets.org.
And spelled for FOR.
FOR,
Okay.
right. And then they can always find us at centerformanifestation.com. But the best way to reach us about this program is to call the church, 813-241-6919, extension 14, ask for Garth Gordon.
And if you don't remember any of that, or you're driving and you don't have a pencil with which to write, just remember Dr. Mark T. Jones, Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Google the man, because he's probably going to, everything you need to know is going to pop up there and drive you to him. So thank you, Mark.
So what is the size of this area that these? Have we mentioned how many houses
homes?
there are?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are 8 homes on the property. We are zoned for 10, so we can still build 2 more.
Okay.
The area is, again, it's just a 300 feet deep by 50 feet wide area. The
300 feet, for everybody that knows, that's a football field,
Yeah.
right? 300 feet, right?
Right. Yeah. So
100
the
yards.
units, it's very self-contained, and we're also working to build common areas, which will have benches and barbecue grill and some. We have a person
Maybe
that's
some
gonna be
light
installing-
equipment, workout equipment or something like that, or something they could do.
No,
No? Okay.
no plan for that. No space for that.
Okay, well, that's true.
But we will put garden boxes, and we have a person from
wonderful.
our church that'll be volunteering to teach gardening to the guys as well.
Wow, excellent.
Is this something that, it just dawned on me, Joey, is this something that could be replicated?
Absolutely.
Do you see this as possibly a pilot program that could be done in other cities around the country? Or did
That's
you
the
take
reason-
inspiration
yeah.
from somebody else?
That's the reason I was asking those questions, because this sounds like a template to me.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we've been approached by several individuals who are interested in doing something like this, and I've met with them, and we freely share our plans. I always say if we figured it out, you don't have to figure it out. freely we receive, freely we give. It was hard getting to this point, but we want to make it easier for others.
Be careful, Mark, because you might just end up on the Today Show, or you might just end up on the Sunday morning show, CBS, because, that has a wide audience. And if you haven't been on there, I'm suspecting that you might be soon.
Well,
somebody drop a dime and said, listen, you got to come talk to this man, see what he's doing down here in Tampa.
This is very inspiring, frankly.
Absolutely.
I just feel good just being next to you. Sensing
and he's in your
joy.
neighborhood, Joe. He's you know what I mean?
Yeah, not far away.
This is close
I used to work for a drug treatment facility at 22nd and Lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
22nd and Lake.
Yeah. So that down deep in the neighborhood for sure. Yeah. So, but we just had Martin Luther King Day. I think Dr. King would be very proud of what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Keeping up the legacy of transformation.
Transformation is so powerful. And it's
always the right time to do the right thing. Right. Mark, is there anything that we have not touched on? Because, we've been driving the conversation, but if there's something there that on the tip of your tongue you'd like to get out, please, this would be the time with about 14, 15 minutes left in show.
Well, we, as I mentioned, we're a community organization. We do tours if anyone's interested in coming to check out Manifestation City. We're not just a church. We have a big octagon there, and I call us an oasis in the hood. We have several, a couple thousand members of our church come through. But we're also, as I mentioned, we have a fully accredited theological institute right there in the neighborhood, offering degrees all the way through the doctoral level. We also have 5 daycares. We have assisted living facilities. As a matter of fact, we have 1 bed open in our assisted living facility right now. We have group home for foster care boys, men's home for transitioning men, women's home, and just a lot of things where we just serve our community there. So if anyone's interested to come do a tour and maybe or support, you can definitely visit centerformanifestation.com. We are looking to liquidate the mortgage on the veterans' home, so we're believing for $900,000 to liquidate that note that we still have left. And so just look us up. As you mentioned a little bit earlier, look up Manifestations Worldwide. There's one in the world.
Which leads most of us who are conscious, socially conscious and alive, to think things like, well, if these tech bros could just find something honorable and good to do with their billions and billions of dollars,
Yes.
I mean, some of this could be resolved, for whether it's housing the homeless or feeding the hungry. Some of these things could be resolved overnight.
Yeah, there's a book called Everything's Figure-outable.
I like that. Can you say that again?
Everything's figure-outable.
I don't even think that's English, but I like it.
And it's true. I mean, everything can be resolved with the will to resolve it. And like you just mentioned, there's a lot of people that have prosperity and no purpose. And so to prosper for purpose is very glorious.
Yeah, you also...
Man, can we get that on a T-shirt? Come on now, Mark. Tavis, are you taking notes over there? Can you repeat that again? To prosper?
To prosper for purpose is glorious.
There you go.
Yeah, well, whenever people do something good for another person, there's an energy there that's a very specific energy that feeds the soul. It's something that we should be promoting a lot more in our
And it's
our
also
society.
contagious, Joe. It's also something that,
absolutely.
It just like hate is also contagious, so is love, and so is this sense of purpose in helping others.
Yeah,
now,
there's a scripture that says it's more blessed to give than it is to receive, and that means the blessing's on the giver.
That's right.
Correct.
That's right. So let me ask you, now you have 8 and potentially 10 houses. What is there any vision into the future of how this might be recreated or expanded again?
We are now in communication with the CDC of Tampa. They want to partner with us to build 25 more. So we're looking to strike up a partnership with them.
You want me to do that, Joey?
That's
I'll get it.
Hit that bell because that's remarkable.
Yeah, so we are looking to replicate this effort. I really believe that the homeless crisis is easily resolved by people with a will to do so. Our church also has an idea, a concept called Indoors, which I believe would take a large space and create a very unique homelessness solution in a large space that I'll talk about in future on my next visit to you.
Oh, absolutely.
I really do believe
we're going to book it now, Tavis. If you're the keeper of the schedule, sir, we're going to book that now.
This guy's a good manager.
Oh, man.
He's already setting up his next interview. But that's awesome. That's awesome. Absolutely. 25 more.
Yeah.
That's great.
And, there's federal agencies as well. I mean, if this works here on the local government side, then with the proper will and, again, the proper people in positions of power, can do this on the state side.
Yes.
But then we have the Department of HUD. We have the Veterans Affairs. I mean, you could also get help if it's the right administration in Washington to also push you into the next level.
Yes.
We're not. I have a bad feeling we're not going to get a lot of that now. So we may just have to keep our head down for the next 4 years and do the work.
Right.
But I don't think that this little cold snap and this little rain is in any way slowing Mark down.
No.
I think, he's going to plow right through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, we, as I said to our church when we first started this project, I said, I have a vision. I said, I don't have the money. I don't know who the partners will be. I don't know how it's going to come to pass. I'm going to just start walking that way. So for me, vision is inevitable. Why would I see it if it wasn't supposed to be? I don't believe you just, see things. I think everything starts in the spirit and somebody in the natural, and in time has to walk it out. So we don't wait on new government. We don't wait on money. We just start moving on vision, and God meets a man in motion. So that's what we do. We keep moving.
Wow.
Thoughts becomes things, and we talk about that here on the show all the time. Joe says it all the time. Thoughts do become things.
Right.
And it starts, thoughts manifestations become ideas, and then all of a sudden the right people start to, what does they say about the teacher and the pupil? The teacher shows up when the pupil's ready.
That's right.
The help shows up when the idea is there.
Right.
You don't know where it's going to come from, but it just starts to kind of show up. That's where your managerial skills, you start to plug people in.
Right.
You've got this skill set, you take care of that over there. And of course, Tavis somehow's got to keep up with all of it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think that even for those people who are listening who may not be religious, I think there's been a lot of talk at a kind of spiritual, metaphysical level about manifestation. I'm a huge believer in manifestation because I believe so you direct the pointing of your toes, you walk, right? So every single thing on earth, every piece of metal, everything that's man-made on earth started with an idea. And that idea went to some kind of manifestation which has to do with the word, and it becomes the word, and then it becomes the actions. So as you think, you speak, you do. And I think that's just I don't think you have to be very sophisticated spiritually to see that. I mean, it's evident that everything around us started out as an idea, and a human idea that somehow was brought to fruition. And so why would it not be the same?
And the timing is right for tiny homes, Mark. I mean, the timing is right. We've been talking about tiny homes for a minute now. This isn't a new concept.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm not very religious either. I'm not a religious person. I have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, but that doesn't make me religious. And I do believe that what you just said about the concept of manifestation, we were created, just man, we were created in the image and likeness of God. Genesis 1. God said, and then he saw. And so it's the same concept. It's what are you saying? As a man thinketh, so is he. If I believe vision to be inevitable, meaning if I saw something, like right now, I see a performing arts center owned by our organization right here in East Tampa. I see it. It already exists. Why would I see it if it didn't already happen? So I'm the man in time to walk out something that already exists in the spiritual realm. Why would I see it if it didn't exist?
He's so on it.
No. Let me tell you something.
That's it. That's exactly.
I think once a month Mark should be here just to set us straight. It's like we can do Monday. We can do Mondays with Mark.
You're definitely very inspirational, Dr. Mark. No doubt about it.
Yes. Dr. Jones.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's exactly how it works. And I will bear my soul on the air and say that I use manifestation, and it's changed my life. I approach it. I try to support it with a lot of science. When you're a child, you're producing mostly theta brain waves, and theta means that reality and what's in your head is the same thing. That's the reason a child believes that they're having a sword fight with a dragon, right? Well, it turns out that there's a time in your life every night before you go to sleep that you produce theta waves, and if you have a little conversation with yourself as you're going to sleep saying, I am powerful, I am healthy, I am wealthy, it'll happen. I believe it'll happen. Because if it does nothing else, it's planting a seed into your subconscious. That means it's going to have an effect on how you act in your world.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I believe in the Big Bang Theory, right? God said it, and bang, it happened.
Woo! We are overmatched today, Joey.
There we go.
I'm telling you, when I came in here today, I was going to make a confession at the top of the show, and I'll say it now. You know, I'm a little bit under the weather. I don't know what it is, whether it's the changing climate or I just got something starting. And my voice doesn't sound like it normally sounds. But
he has his mask on, folks.
Yes, I do. And I made a promise. On January 1 when we did that show, Joey, that Hell or High Water, I was going to be here for every show.
Yes.
I was going to make 52 shows this year. And I wasn't, unless I'm in the hospital laid up, I was going to be here.
Okay.
So, and I'm so grateful that today I came in and today Mark is here with us because this has been one of those kinds of shows.
Because if you hadn't shown up, it would just be me having fun.
Yeah. And listen, that's unacceptable.
Yeah,
that
right.
You're going to have fun, and I'm not going to be here to have it with you.
That's right. No.
What's next for you?
Yeah.
Well, currently we are
Mr. Jones.
exploring expanding our education department. Currently, we have a couple of buildings that we're leasing from some of the community organizations in order to expand our private school. So right now I'm in exploration phase for where to build it, what to do in order to really put all of our educational resources under one roof. So we're working toward that now. That's the current project.
And what about this Performing Arts Center that you mentioned, where you said that's a vision?
Yeah, it's a reality.
It's there.
It's there.
It's already there.
It's like I told our church about Tiny House Village. I say, right now, you'll have to see it through my eyes. Eventually, you'll see it with yours. But you have to see it through my eyes. But we are looking to build a performing arts center. Now, we have a lot of talent in our church. Mm-hmm. And so I have a vision for a performing arts center, dinner theater, all under one roof.
Wow. Excellent. So you're moving in that direction.
Certainly.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
Is there an ask? Is there something that you need specifically right now that's right in front of you that you would like to solicit from the community? I mean,
certainly.
This is your opportunity to speak to 7 county wide and...
Absolutely. Well, currently, as I mentioned, we are looking for those who may want to sponsor the liquidation of Veterans Village. We're raising about $936,000 for that. We need to liquidate about $2 million in mortgages. So if there's, if there's a crypto guy out there trying to figure out what to do with
all of his
$1 million, that would help, But more than anything else, we just want to continue to be a blessing to our community. So if anyone wants to volunteer, maybe come out and help feed the homeless, we do that at 3703 North 30th Street. We do that several days a week. So you can always come out and just volunteer and help serve the community is a big need for our organization right now as well.
I think he's looking at us, Joey. I think he's looking at us.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
so we just got to put our conversation aprons on and go to work.
I see. Well, we're creating trillionaires. We can certainly get some money somewhere, right?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Dr. Jones, we got about 2 minutes left. We just want to say great thank you for coming in today. We hope that this has served its purpose. We hope that we have helped you get your message out in the community and connect you with even more people that maybe didn't know about the great work that you're doing. Tavis, thank you for coming in as well. I know we keep referring to you, but you're standing over there dutifully nodding. We didn't give him a microphone today because we were all afraid we wouldn't get a word in edgewise. But thank you for being here, and thank you for doing the work that you're doing.
Absolutely, yes.
It's been a lot of fun to be here. Are you going to be at the Gasparilla Parade this weekend?
I will not. I'll be in Colorado. I lost one of my uncles, and so I got to go to a funeral in Denver, Colorado.
At our age, it seems that we're attending more funerals than birthday parties anymore.
You said that like we're the same age.
Well, I don't think we're the same age, but maybe I was looking at you. Was I looking at you?
There's no grass growing under him.
No.
He's fully aware of what you're doing.
Yes. And I should sheathe my weapon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, put it away. By the way, I want to take a moment to say that coming up next, I see Jim Bannon over there, the governor of grooves, the guardian of grooves, and he's going to be playing some great music for you over the next few hours this afternoon.
As he does every weekday, Wednesday after us, right?
Yes, absolutely. Look for Jim Bannon.
We're giving him the conversation bump. Does he realize that?
Well, it's possible.
Well, just
isn't
keep it right here, everybody. Just keep
Yeah.
it right here. Keep it locked on
There
WMNF
you
because
go.
we're doing great things all throughout the week.
That's right.
On behalf of everybody that puts this show together, thank you, Jessica, for being there to run the board for us.
Stay warm, folks.
Stay warm.
Take care of those little critters outside.
Stay healthy, and thank you
help
again.
anyone you can help at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Jones, for coming in today.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to WMNF 88.5 Tampa.